Welcome, Sagittarius. There's a feeling you can't explain, that someone is thinking of you more than ever before. They once walked away, but now they are coming back. Not because they are certain, but because they are afraid. Afraid that it's too late to repair what has been broken. And you, Sagittarius, are standing between the edge of forgiveness and freedom. This is not just a video, it is a journey within, where you will begin to understand why some people leave and never return, and why some souls are only called back once, just before you step into your true destiny. Write this down below. I am ready to receive what once rejected me. Because when you dare to name what once hurt you, the universe will begin the healing. And if you are Sagittarius, this is not just a coincidence. It is a divine reminder. Sagittarius, listen closely, because they are returning, but you are no longer the same. There is a kind of goodbye that is never spoken aloud. No tears, no anger, just someone walking away, and someone left behind, carrying 1,000 unanswered questions. And if you are Sagittarius, I know you didn't walk away because you stopped loving. You walked away because you had loved too much and were no longer being respected. People often assume Sagittarius is too strong to need comfort, that you heal quickly, that you will forget, move on, and keep traveling forward as if you were never hurt. But they don't know, you once loved with your soul, not just your hopes. You didn't love to possess. You loved to free the other from fear, from limitation. But in the end, you were the one left behind, in the silence, forgotten. Right now, Saturn, the planet of lessons and responsibility, is moving through your 7th house, the house of relationships, reflection, and sacred contracts. This is a period when the universe no longer allows you to love unconditionally those who are not yet mature enough to receive your love. Saturn does not come to hurt you. It comes to teach you. Do not abandon yourself just to stay with someone who cannot see your worth. That person, they assumed you would always be willing to return, but they were wrong. They didn't understand that when a Sagittarius walks away in silence, it means the wound has gone too deep. So deep that even an apology is no longer needed. I believe this. No relationship ends without meaning. The one who leaves teaches you about limits. The one who stays learns about compassion. And sometimes the greatest lesson isn't about love, but about how to keep your heart intact, even when someone forgets it was ever theirs to hold. Love doesn't die because of betrayal. It dies in the silence that no one is brave enough to break. You waited once for a message. Watched that green light for hours. Dreamed they would return, hold you close and say, I'm sorry. You've always been the one I never truly forgot. But morning came, and it was just another dream that fell into the empty space of reality. And so, you learned to be silent. You learned to stay busy. You learned to smile through a kind of pain no one else could see. But deep down, you know this. There is a wound that never had a name, but it changed you forever. Not everyone who returns deserves to be welcomed back into your arms, and not every act of forgiveness needs to be spoken aloud, because sometimes, forgiveness is a solitary journey. It is when you breathe deeply, look back at what once was, and say softly, thank you for teaching me a lesson I never want to learn again. And that is why you, Sagittarius, are now entering the most profound emotional rebirth of your life. You're no longer looking for the perfect person. You're looking for someone mature enough not to destroy the small, sacred world you once offered so selflessly. If you've ever forgiven someone who no longer deserved it, write this below. I once chose peace. Because it is not just a phrase, it is a ritual of soul release. And when you write it, you are sending a signal to the universe that you are ready to step into the next chapter, carrying no old baggage. Have you ever asked yourself, if they came back now, would it still mean anything? Would my heart stir again? Or would it only echo with the sound of an old wound? Because yes, they may have truly changed. But it's also possible. They've only returned to see if you are still the place they can escape to when life gets hard again. And if you are Sagittarius, the universe is placing you at a sacred crossroads. One path is an apology, the other is freedom. They are coming back. But this time, they may be too late. Sometimes people return, not because they still love you, but because they finally understand what it felt like to be the one left behind. Someone out there is thinking of you, not fleetingly, but every night. Each time they close their eyes, your image surfaces, without needing to be called. And no one knows this more than their soul. Because once someone enters a karmic awakening, there is no longer anywhere to hide. They begin to face the cost of their silence, the weight of their unspoken words, and the very wound they once believed they left behind. And if you are Sagittarius, the one who once loved them with your whole heart, with quiet forgiveness and silent faith, then right now, you've become a mirror for their soul to look into, a mirror that does not judge, but reflects with painful clarity what they lost when you chose to walk away without a word. Right now, Pluto, the planet of deep transformation, is aligning with your ascendant in Sagittarius. It's a rare transit, one that doesn't bring sudden chaos. It moves slowly, silently, but powerfully enough to uncover an old memory both of you tried to bury. Pluto doesn't ask if you're ready. It simply restores the energetic order. And that means they are being forced to face the part of themselves they left behind in you that never truly healed. They can't sleep. They can't laugh with honesty. They can't love anyone new, because in every moment they feel something missing, something they cannot name. And that something is you. There's something strange about the laws of the universe. When you walk away from someone without taking responsibility for the wound you caused, you don't get to escape, not even with time. Every wound left unhealed becomes a spiritual debt, and those debts always come back to be repaid through regret. Not the kind of regret that screams, but the kind that lingers in every familiar song, every passing scent, every name heard by accident on the street. They won't say it aloud, but the ache is there, and the universe is making them repay it piece by piece. There are apologies that only arrive when your heart no longer needs them. And yet, they still make your hands tremble because you waited for them so long. Maybe you don't love the same way anymore. Maybe you no longer think about them every day. Maybe you've stopped hoping for a message at 1 a.m. But when they finally say that first word, and their eyes hold a truth so raw, so uncovered, you may feel it, that your heart still carries pieces that were never fully named or healed. If you've ever waited for an apology that never came, or if you received it long after it stopped mattering, then write in the comments, "I forgave you, but I'm no longer there." Because saying it out loud frees not only them, but frees you from a cycle that was never meant to repeat. And maybe right now, you're quietly wondering, if they come back, are they truly different? Because sometimes, coming back isn't a sign of love. It's only a sign of regret. They're coming back to you. But are they coming back for love? Or just to be saved? And you, Sagittarius, are you still the one waiting for them to speak? Or have you walked so far ahead that all you have left now is the compassion to quietly smile? Sagittarius, if someone is returning to you right now, listen carefully. Not just to what they say, but to what they're too afraid to say. Because you're about to discover something. They don't just regret losing you. They regret the version of themselves they could have become if they had stayed by your side. There's something people who come back often don't realize right away. And it's this. You, Sagittarius, still have those same eyes, still that same smile. But you are no longer the same person. When they left, you were still innocent. You believed that if you loved with all your heart, they would stay. That if you were kind, if you were patient, your love would be cherished. You did everything you could. You reached out first, apologized, even when it wasn't your fault. Stayed awake on countless nights just to tell yourself, they're just confused. They'll understand soon. But no, they didn't understand. They chose to leave and assumed you would always be there. But the silence of a Sagittarius is not surrender. It's the end of a version of you who once loved without holding anything back. You're not someone who easily hates. You forgive far more than others realize. You give people time. You give them space. You give them the kind of understanding few ever truly deserve. Because you believe everyone has a past and everyone deserves a future. But you also have your limits. And when Sagittarius chooses silence, it's not because you no longer care. It's because you've realized someone worthy of your love will never make you suffer just to prove it. Silence sometimes is the final form of mature love. It's when you stop, not because your feelings have dried up, but because you finally learned to love yourself first. Right now, Jupiter, your ruling planet has begun moving direct again after months of retrograde in your 12th house, the house of hidden pain, the subconscious, and old wounds. This is a powerful time. You are emerging from the shadows, from the place where you once doubted your own worth, and stepping into the clear light of emotional maturity. You are no longer the one trying to save every relationship. Now you're choosing what truly deserves to stay in your world. You're no longer holding on, only holding space for what makes you feel most like yourself. Do you remember the last time you forgave someone who didn't even know they hurt you? That feeling, a little bit like heartbreak, a little bit like freedom, because it taught you sometimes forgiveness isn't for the other person. It's the gift you give yourself. So you're no longer bound to an invisible sorrow. If you've been through such a journey, write this down. I am no longer who I used to be. It's not just a sentence. It's a declaration. A way to let the universe know that you've grown and you are ready for something better. When someone from the past returns, they may not see how much you've changed. They think you're just pretending to be strong. But the truth is, you're done explaining. Because those who truly care will take the time to understand. And those who left only to return when they're lonely no longer deserve your heart. That is what maturity looks like. It's when you let go of something you once desperately wanted, because deep down, you now know you deserve something better, even if you don't yet know what that is. And something strange is happening. When you choose to love yourself, the world begins to reflect that choice back to you. Old doors quietly close, but new ones are already opening. Softly, silently, but surely. You might not see it yet, but there is someone or something already on its way to you, not to test you, but to reward you for surviving what nearly broke you. Sagittarius, if you feel like you're no longer the person you used to be, know this is not a loss, it is a rebirth, and what lies ahead might just be the very thing you once believed was never meant for you. Can you feel it? Something is shifting, not loudly, not clearly, but just enough to make your heart tremble a little on an otherwise ordinary night. When someone you once loved appears in your dream again, not a random dream, but a whisper from the universe, soft as a breath, heavy as a soul still unnamed. Right now, something rare is unfolding. The moon, guardian of your hidden emotions, is aligning with Chiron, the asteroid of unhealed wounds, in your third house of memories, communication, and the words you never said. The universe is opening a gate, not so you can go back, but so someone who once caused you pain finally has a chance to say what should have been said a long, long time ago. Because sometimes, all it takes is one sentence, I was wrong, to stop a drifting soul from drowning in regret. In mythology, Chiron was the immortal centaur, the one who carried wisdom and compassion. He healed others, he taught the gods about mercy, but he himself never healed his own wound. The one in your story might be just like that. They know how to comfort others. They know how to smile, how to appear strong to the world. But only at night do they face the emptiness that you left behind. Some pain does not show itself through tears. It lingers quietly, in long silences when no one is left to listen. You once longed for an explanation, just one sentence. I didn't mean to hurt you, I just wasn't mature enough. You hoped they'd return, not to begin again, but to end things kindly, but they never came. And you had to learn how to end it yourself, in a silence no one else shared. Now, maybe they're finally preparing to say it, not because they want to be forgiven, but because the universe will no longer let them carry that wound into their future. A late apology can still save a soul. But you, Sagittarius, the one who crossed the valley with no one holding your hand, you no longer need those words to keep living. Sometimes, what's needed isn't to return, but to give each other a real ending. One final word, so that both of you can move forward without tying your lives to a nameless fracture. Forgiveness doesn't always come with reunion, but if the apology arrives late, it can still close a wound that's been left unattended for far too long. And maybe you won't even respond, you'll just listen and smile. Because in your heart, the door has closed, but the anger has long left. If this video made you think of someone, even for just a moment, share it as a silent message. Because sometimes we don't need to meet again to find closure. We just need one small act, and the universe will take care of the rest. If you've ever waited for a word that never came, write this beneath the video. I am peaceful enough to want nothing more. And maybe, right after this video ends, you'll receive a message. A familiar name will light up your screen. Something you thought would never happen will appear just when you stopped waiting. But the question is no longer, what will they say? It's, do I even need to hear it anymore? Sagittarius, you survived everything. And now you don't need someone else to say the final word, because you've become the one who closes your own past with compassion and inner strength. There is a kind of forgiveness that doesn't need to be spoken, that doesn't ask the other person to beg, that doesn't require a formal goodbye. It only asks you, on a quiet afternoon, to place your hand on your heart, breathe deeply, and whisper to yourself, I understand, and now I can leave with a light heart. Forgiveness is not reopening your heart to someone who once made you cry. It's not an act of hope. It is the decision to close the door on old expectations, on dreams you once clung to because you believed love could save everything. But you've learned, not every love is meant to be saved. And not everyone deserves to walk beside you just because they know how to say, I'm sorry. Forgiveness is the final lesson, reserved for those who have grown through the very wounds they once inflicted. At this moment, the waning moon appears in your 5th house, the house of emotion, love, passion, and the very things that once wounded you. The waning moon isn't as radiant as the full moon. It doesn't shine with bold brilliance. But that's exactly why. It carries the message of cleansing, of releasing emotions that no longer serve the journey ahead. The universe is whispering to you, Sagittarius. Your feelings are real, but not all feelings are meant to be kept. They may come back. They may feel remorse. They may even beg for a second chance. But that doesn't mean you have to take them back. Because not everyone who returns late deserves to re-enter the home you've learned to rebuild, alone. You once watched them for so long, waiting for a message, a sign, a small gesture to believe this love still exists. But eventually, you got tired. You stopped. You stopped writing, stopped searching, stopped hoping. And in that very moment when you chose to return to yourself, was the moment they began to miss you. Not because they suddenly loved you more, but because the energy of your waiting had finally left them. That fragile thread, when no longer nourished by you, made them panic as they realized they had truly lost you. They've returned. But you're no longer standing where they left you. They may have changed. They may be more mature now. But that doesn't mean you owe them a new beginning. Because sometimes forgiveness isn't about starting over. It's about ending the pain you've endured for far too long. You're no longer someone who keeps opening the door just because they knock. Now you hold the key. And you open it only when peace already lives inside. If you've forgiven, but chose not to return because you knew it no longer aligned with your soul, write this below. I choose myself over the past. Write it to redefine your emotional boundaries. Write it to let the universe know you are ready for a completely new chapter with no lingering shadows. I forgive, but I don't go back, because I've learned to love myself more than anyone who ever hurt me. You're not bitter. You're not seeking revenge. You simply walk away in the light you created from your own darkness. That's something only a Sagittarius who's been through the fire can truly do. Because when you forgive fully, you cleanse the space within your soul. And in that sacred emptiness, the universe will send something new. A person or an opportunity, not to repeat the past, but to build a present worthy of the value you've just reclaimed. You've let go. You've healed. And now, you're about to receive what you've always deserved. Sagittarius, forgiveness is a sacred act. But not everyone you forgive should be allowed to return. Because what's waiting ahead is no longer a reunion, but the arrival of destiny at the right time. Maybe you've asked yourself before, if they come back, does that mean it's destiny? But dear Sagittarius, you were born to understand. Destiny is not a destination. It's a lesson. They return not to take you back to where you were, but to teach you the final lesson. The lesson of letting go kindly, of loving without clinging, and of recognizing the power in your own heart when it knows what no longer belongs to it. Not every love is meant to walk the full road with you. Some people come just to remind you how bravely you once loved and how far you've come since. They come so you can finally walk away with a heart no longer heavy. If you feel you've understood enough, endured enough, and learned enough, write this. I've learned all I needed to from this love. Because sometimes, the simplest words are the most powerful ritual to free the soul. And Sagittarius, if destiny is a door, then you are the one holding the key. The question is no longer, who's coming back? But which door will you now choose to walk through? Thank you, Sagittarius, for making it to the very end of this video. Not as a listener, but as a soul in the midst of a rebirth. You don't need to go back to prove anything. You just need to keep moving forward. Because the light within you is now strong enough to guide your way, and even the way for those who once lost you. I forgive, but I choose myself. If this message touched your heart, like, share, and write what you need to release. Because every action you take is a signal to the universe that you're ready for a true new beginning. Don't leave until you write this below. I am the light, and I choose to live without burden. Treat this moment as a sacred ceremony of closure, gentle and divine.